Spencer, your sense of how these survivors can potentially open the aperture on transparency?
Thank you for having me on. You know, it's unfathomable that we really forget about throughout this whole process survivors. They are the ones that matter. You know, these are victims of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, and these are the people that want their voices heard. So it is wonderful that they're actually bringing them to speak. In addition, they have always wanted full accountability, not only Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, but on behalf of everyone that was part of this conspiracy from the beginning. That's why they want the files released.
And I guess, Spencer, what would be satisfactory to them? Save a full disclosure of all of the files. What specifically from this do you believe would say, okay, we've moved the needle a little bit?
I think at the end of the day, we have always pushed for an executive order from Donald Trump to release everything that is in the custody of the Department of Justice. You know, when he's passing these executive orders for the National Guard in D.C., slip in an executive order that says, oh, and by the way, release all the files. They've got thousands of hours of videotape that was confiscated from Epstein's mansions in New York, in the Virgin Islands, and in Palm Beach, where I'm at. Release the videotapes, protect the victims, obviously, because they were minors at the time, but everyone else that's on them, let the world see who was there and let them account for why they were with Jeffrey Epstein when they were there.
Andrew, I have been suspicious that this would actually play out in courts, that this was really a question for the court of public opinion. But I think Engelmeyer's ruling shows you that it is possible for the courts to play a role here because they are calling the administration out for their BS.
Yeah, absolutely. So Paul Engelmeyer, the district judge in New York, who had the motion by the government saying, we want you to release the grand jury transcripts and exhibits, he said exactly that. He said, you want the government the illusion of transparency without the reality. And he said the only reason that he could think to actually release this would be to show that the government is lying. I mean, it was a striking opinion. And the reason he said that is that he said, look, the grand jury transcripts, which is a tiny little universe of data, everyone agrees it has nothing in it. There's nothing there. As he said, there's no there, to sort of paraphrase Gertrude Stein. And so he's saying, look, that was never going to be the end game. That was never going to be something that you were either going to get. And even if you got it, and it was released, there was nothing there. Meanwhile, the government has agreed it has 300 gigabytes of information. They do not need court approval to turn that over. As your guest has just mentioned, an executive order could turn all of that over right now. Pam Bondi could turn all of that over right now. So that is why Paul Engelmeyer really called out that you wanted the illusion of transparency, not the reality of it.
They were really using the court of law to try to influence the court of law.
Right, because do they even need an executive order? This is the government. Couldn't the Department of Justice, they already combed through the files and went to tell the president where he was in them.
Yep.
So don't they know?
The president has the authority to release all of the files right now, as he promised people that he would do. People forget here that Donald Trump created this situation. You remember the day that this guy was found hanged in the cell or committed suicide. The president was out retweeting conspiracy theories. That's day one, before the medical examiner could conduct his review, before anybody can conduct any investigation. They created this themselves, and they're still trying to dig their way out of this hole.
Spencer, this is just your take on this. This just has to be very stressful,
frustrating.
Yes, and frustrating. Yes,
20 years. I have been trying to help these victims get their story out. And it's important also, we talk about the tapes and the evidence and the information that really the victims want to come out so that the world can see this. But that's just half the story. Because remember, Jeffrey Epstein got a sweetheart deal under Alex Acosta when he was the U.S. attorney down here. Why did he get that deal? The victims want to understand the basis of that deal. And one of the subpoenas that was never issued by Congress was Alex Acosta. Where was that subpoena?
Right.
Right. Well, and it also is particularly relevant given that Ghislaine Maxwell's appeal to the Supreme Court is actually predicated on that sweetheart deal, saying, well, if they put that sweetheart deal together in Florida, it should have applied in New York. All of it is absolutely linked. I also think one of the developments here, beyond the fact that you had Judge Engelmeyer weighing in, Spencer, is the fact that you have Republicans in the mix here, right? That it's not just Ro Khanna saying we need to invite these survivors to come and speak. The fact that it is also Thomas Massie. So such that when this administration tries to say, well, this is just a bunch of lefty loons who want to get at Donald Trump, no. This is now a political cross-section that is saying there is an appetite among the populace for transparency, for accountability here.
And listen, I want to be clear. This spanned 4 separate presidents. The original sweetheart deal was under President George Bush. It then transferred power, and we had Obama in administration, we had Trump 1, we had Biden, and now we have Trump 2. The victims don't care who the president is, and it's gone through multiple different administrations and parties. They just want the information out. This is not political. This is about what happened to them. They want the world to know so it never happens again.
One more quick question for you, Spencer, because I was struck by the fact that in this press conference that is going to happen in September, a number of these survivors will reportedly be making themselves known for the first time. And many of the women that actually ended up testifying in the Ghislaine Maxwell trial, as you know, but the viewers may not be aware, they testified under pseudonyms, fake names, if you will, to protect their identities. Why now do they think it's important to let the world know who they are?
I think we're at a watershed moment, right? This is a pivotal moment where both sides of the coin agree. We have Democrats, we have Republicans, everyone agrees this information needs to be heard. So I think for some of the victims, not all of them, by the way, but some of them, they want that significant moment to play out where answers are finally obtained after being repeatedly denied these answers over a 20-year time frame.